up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Robert Graves, and I'm bringing to you Warriors Wisdom. It's still You're the Vet. It's just a smaller portion of it. I understand that sometimes we're not able to listen to full-length podcasts, and you want to know what's in it for me. And here's the what's in it for me. These are the little bits of information that I'm pulling out, bringing to you so you can actually get to the bottom of what the conversation is all about. And that is, what do individuals coming out of the military need to know in order to have the best head start possible? And what would you tell individuals who are struggling today? So those are the kind of main questions that these little Warriors Wisdom episodes are going to pull out. And each episode is going to air in between weeks of a new podcast. So you're going to get a new podcast every week, except for every other week will be a conversation. And then the weeks in between will be the golden nuggets that you're waiting for. And hopefully the mindset is that you listen to the golden nuggets and then you go back and listen to the full-on conversation if it piques your interest. And I hope it does. So this week's Warriors Wisdom, we're going to start off with Jose Roman. It only makes sense because he was last week's You're the Vet guest. And not only was he last week's You're the Vet guest, but he just brought it, man. He brought it. He came correct. And he has so much information because Jose is not only a veteran advocate in his own group, networking veterans group, the NVG. He's also an advocate at the Military Resource Center at Regent University. And I mean, he comes to the conversation with information about entrepreneurship. We talk a lot about veteran advocacy and how you can get involved or open up your own SVO. He talks about being the old man on campus as a student veteran. So he talks about, re-enlisting after having already been out and what it means to be a veteran, being a good leader as well as a good follower. Like, there's just so many gold nuggets in this conversation alone that I felt that this was a perfect episode to give you the meat and potatoes of his message in the shortest time frame possible. And hopefully you go back to this episode and listen to his full story because it's just crazy interesting. So with that being said, here's the first episode of Warriors Wisdom. So what would you tell vets that are struggling to find themselves today with transition, with employment, just who are just struggling in this whole getting out of the military process?
Well, for veterans out there that are struggling through the process, or families of veterans that are, come across this message, and it's a get that person connected to their military population, not necessarily their student veteran population. It's so important that you reach out, and if not at the local school, reach out to SVA National, and they'll connect you with great people in your area. It's so important that you do this, because this is how we're going to find our next careers. It's going to be the network, connecting on LinkedIn, connecting on Facebook, connecting in person, and reaching out to that population. That's going to be huge. And it doesn't matter if it's something that directly helps you, or if you're just doing a referral for somebody else. I've talked to folks at the airport that told me, hey, I'm getting out and I'm going over here, and I'll just drop a bomb with them. I'll do a little, pull my phone out and say, man, have you talked to the SVA chapter here? And I might find them on Facebook and say, hey, these guys are doing stuff, because there's scholarship opportunities, there's grants and things, there's a professional development that's happening, and all that. Those are all kinds of good reasons to stay connected. Mm-hmm. To not be the lone wolf, sitting in the back of the classroom thinking you're gonna make it through it on your own.
Yeah. And there's a lot of those.
Yeah, no.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for guys who have not gotten out yet, about to get out, getting ready to get out, what's some good advice you have for guys who are about to make that transition?
And this is what happens when it's kind of like a catch-22. You're at work until you're not at work anymore. So your mindset is whatever your job is in the military. And this was me when I first got out. I was like, hey, I'm working until I'm not working anymore. So I'm not thinking about what happens next. It's sort of like you don't think about your next job until you're fired. So it's sort of like you have to really chip away and think about it now. If you're a year out, now's the time to really start hatching a plan for what you're going to do next. I did a ed fair at Camp Pendleton, and I remember I heard some of the things that I heard when I was getting out. Guys saying that they're going to collect unemployment and live off of that, and then try to go to school and start living off their GI Bill. And that's not the case. That's not a plan. That's sort of just like that's not going to sustain you, especially if you got a family or you want to, not be eating ramen noodles. You got to be able to, save a little money, but also just start reaching out. You'd be surprised the people that are out there that'll answer your questions, that'll help you get situated, that'll make sure that they're sharing their lessons learned, so you don't got to go down the same road.
Yeah.
Start applying for financial aid. If you're going to grad school, start applying for grad schools a year out. Because they're more than welcome to accept you, and then wait. The colleges are in no rush to bring you on board. At least good colleges. And if you're going to going on to higher ed, reach out early and make sure that they do have some sort of veteran connection center or student veterans group or somebody other than a certifying official that's just there to take your money.
Yeah.
Reach out to people that are really going to talk to you about what your ultimate game plan is going to be.
What I want to go back to one last question before we go kind of wrap it up. And what are some of the most common issues that student vets have that can be solved at this very minute during this conversation right now?
The common issues.
Okay, so hopefully some of that really just piqued your interest into what was said earlier in the conversation, and I urge you to get to iTunes and listen to the episode, or visit you'rethevet.com and you can stream it on your computer or on your phone. I look forward to bringing you these smaller episodes because I understand that people want instant gratification, and I just want you to have the knowledge. So pass this on, share, do us a favor at You're the Vet, and go onto one of the platforms and subscribe, like the page on Facebook, but more importantly, comment and write a review as well as share, because in order for this information to reach as many people possible, it needs to be visible and the word needs to get out. And so it's on us to continue to spread this word. And so with that being said, I hope that this gave you exactly what you were looking for and that you'll tune back in. So it's been a pleasure, and I will talk to you next week.